The day had started just like any other on the research vessel Horizon Bound, slicing through the star-strewn vastness of space with a routine that the crew followed almost religiously. Commander Sarah Jenkins was reviewing the latest data from the outer sectors when the alarm blared, an unfamiliar signal piercing the usual hum of the ship's operations. "Commander, we're picking up something on the long-range sensors," Lieutenant Mark Halley reported, his voice tinged with a mix of curiosity and concern. Sarah approached the main console, her eyes narrowing at the data displayed on the screen. The signal was strong, but erratic, unlike anything they had encountered before. "Any idea what it is, Mark?" "No, ma'am. It doesn't match any known patterns. It could be a malfunction, but the signal's origin point suggests otherwise." "Set a course. Let's check it out." The Horizon Bound shifted its trajectory, the stars morphing into streaks of light as they entered hyperspace. The journey was short, and soon they were hovering near the coordinates from which the signal originated, a seemingly desolate sector, with no planets in immediate view, only the faint glow of a distant nebula painting a backdrop of ghostly blues and purples. "Deploy the probes. Let's see if we're missing something hidden," Sarah ordered. Minutes turned into hours as they waited. The crew was accustomed to the unknown, yet the air was thick with anticipation, each member silently hoping for something more than just space debris or a false signal. The silence was finally broken by the communications officer. "Commander, you need to see this." What the probe revealed was astonishing. Floating amidst the darkness was a vessel, but unlike any they had known or heard of. It was sleek and translucent, almost organic in appearance, as if it was grown rather than built, with pulsating lights that seemed to mimic a form of breathing. "Is it alive?" Sarah murmured, more to herself than anyone else. Before anyone could respond, a communication channel opened, and a voice filled the bridge, a voice that was unmistakably alien, yet oddly familiar in its cadence. "Hello, humans. I hope I am not intruding." Sarah took a breath, steadying her nerves. "This is Commander Sarah Jenkins of the research vessel Horizon Bound. Who are we speaking to?" "I am Zilon of the Silithus. I have been observing your species. I find your methods of reproduction quite fascinating." The crew exchanged bewildered looks. It wasn't every day an alien species expressed interest in human biology so candidly. Sarah chose her words carefully, aware of the countless protocols about first contact scenarios. "We are glad to meet you, Zilon. We have many questions, and perhaps you do too. Would you be open to a meeting?" Zilron's next words caught them all off guard. "Indeed, I would be most eager. In fact, I wish to learn through experience. May I join you in your reproductive activities?" The request stunned the crew into silence. Sarah felt every eye on the bridge on her as she weighed the implications of such an interaction. Diplomacy was key, but so was the safety and comfort of her crew. "Zilon, your request is unusual. We appreciate your interest in human culture, but perhaps we could start with a more traditional exchange of information." There was a pause, and then Zilon replied, "Of course, Commander Jenkins. I meant no disrespect. I am here to learn and exchange knowledge. How shall we proceed?" Sarah nodded, feeling the tension ease slightly on the bridge. "Let's arrange for a meeting aboard the Horizon Bound. We'll prepare to welcome you and discuss our cultures." As the preparations began, Sarah couldn't shake off the peculiar nature of this first encounter. She knew that this meeting could mark a pivotal point in human history, the day humanity truly realized they were not alone in the universe, and perhaps how little they knew of what lay beyond their own existence. The crew of the Horizon Bound worked diligently to prepare for the arrival of Zilon, the alien from the Silithus species. Each member had a role, from security protocols to the technical setup for communication and data exchange. Sarah oversaw the preparations, ensuring that every precaution was taken to maintain both safety and diplomatic courtesy. The airlock chimed as the moment of the meeting approached. The crew lined up in their dress uniforms, a gesture of formal welcome uncommon in the reaches of deep space, but deemed necessary for this historic encounter. Zilron's vessel attached itself to the horizon bound with a gentle precision that belied its organic appearance. The airlock door hissed open, and there, standing in the frame, was Zilron. His form was a blend of ethereal and tangible elements. His body shimmered with a luminescent quality, his limbs elongating and contracting slightly, as if they were not entirely bound by the physical laws familiar to humans. "Welcome aboard the horizon-bound, Zilron," Sarah greeted, extending her hand in a human gesture of goodwill. Zilron mimicked the gesture, his hand morphing to match hers in shape and size. "Thank you, Commander Jenkins. Your ship is quite accommodating." As they toured the vessel, Sarah introduced Zilron to various crew members, who explained their roles and duties. Zilron absorbed every detail, his eyes, multifaceted and gleaming, scanning and occasionally flashing with light as if processing the information at an extraordinary pace. In the ship's conference room, they finally settled for a more formal discussion. Zilron was curious about everything from human governance to scientific advancements. However, his interest always circled back to human relationships and social interactions. "It is fascinating," Zilron remarked, "how your species bonds through emotional and physical connections. In Silithus culture, bonding is primarily intellectual. We merge minds temporarily to share thoughts and experiences." Sarah nodded, intrigued. "Physical touch and emotional connection are essential aspects of human bonding. They are as vital as intellectual compatibility. Would it be possible to observe these interactions more closely?" Zilron asked, his tone earnest. "I believe it would provide invaluable insights into your species' social fabric." Sarah considered his request carefully. "It's possible, but only in a context that respects our crew's privacy and comfort. Perhaps we can arrange for you to observe some public aspects of human interaction." "Acceptable and appreciated, Commander," Zilron agreed, his tone conveying gratitude. The meeting continued with discussions on potential exchanges of knowledge and technology. Zilron was particularly interested in human advancements in medicine and biotechnology, areas where he believed the Silithus could offer significant insights as well. As the meeting concluded, Sarah felt a mix of excitement and apprehension. This encounter could bridge not just two species, but also vastly different cultures and understanding. Zilron was invited to dine with the crew, an event Sarah hoped would foster goodwill and mutual respect. As the crew dispersed to their duties, Zilron remained close to Sarah. "Your leadership is commendable, Commander. I look forward to learning much from you and your crew." "Thank you, Zilron," Sarah replied. "We hope to learn just as much from you." The alien's visit was only just beginning, and Sarah knew that the days ahead would be filled with unprecedented challenges and opportunities. As she walked Zilron back to his quarters, she wondered what the future held, not just for her crew, but for all of humanity. The dining hall of the Horizon-bound buzzed with a quiet tension as the crew gathered to share a meal with their alien guest. Tables were arranged in a semicircle, fostering an open and inclusive atmosphere. Zilron floated rather than walked, his movements graceful and slightly hypnotic, capturing the attention of everyone present. Sarah observed as Zilron interacted with her crew. He seemed genuinely intrigued by mundane human activities, eating, laughing, the clinking of glasses. These simple acts, so normal for her crew, were artifacts of culture to Zilron, each one examined and queried with childlike wonder. "May I inquire about the significance of this gathering?" Zilron asked, gesturing to the assembled group. "It's a way to build camaraderie and ensure the crew functions as a cohesive unit," Sarah explained. "Sharing a meal is a universal sign of peace and friendship in many human cultures." Zilron nodded, absorbing every word. "And these emotions you display, they are integral to your interactions." "Absolutely," replied Sarah. "Emotions can complicate things, but they also make our experiences richer. They're a big part of what makes us human." Fascinated, Zilron turned his attention back to the crew, observing interactions with a keen intensity. His presence, so alien yet so earnest, gradually ceased to be a source of discomfort and became a point of interest for the crew. Later, Dr. Helen Choi, the ship's biologist, sat beside Zilron, explaining the nuances of human physiology and how it played a crucial role in emotional bonding. Zilron listened intently, his luminescent skin pulsing softly in rhythm with her words. As a species, we have neurotransmitters that respond to physical touch and emotional connections. They're chemical messengers that can influence feelings of love, fear, happiness, and sadness, Helen detailed. Your biological design integrates so seamlessly with your social structures, Zilron remarked. In Silithus, our evolution has minimized emotional expression to focus more on intellectual expansion. I begin to see that perhaps we have lost something valuable in the process. The dinner concluded with a light-hearted presentation of music and dance from the crew, activities chosen to showcase human creativity and emotional expression. Zilron watched with unabated curiosity, his body swaying slightly to the music, mimicking the rhythms and beats in his own alien way. Post-dinner, as the crew began to disperse, Zilron approached Sarah with a proposal. "Commander Jenkins, I wonder if I might engage more directly with your crew in their daily tasks. I am eager to understand not just the framework of your operations, but the human elements within." Sarah considered his request carefully. "That could be arranged. It would need to be done respectfully and with the consent of my crew, but I see the value in it." "Thank you, Commander," Zilron replied, his voice conveying a depth of sincerity. "I am here not only to observe but to understand." As the evening drew to a close, Sarah felt a burgeoning sense of accomplishment. Zilron's visit was proving to be more than just a diplomatic formality. It was a real exchange, a learning experience for both species. She hoped that the forthcoming days would cement a relationship built not just on curiosity, but on mutual respect and understanding. The path ahead was uncharted, and every step was a foray into the depths of interstellar diplomacy and cultural exchange. Over the following days, Zilron became a fixture on the Horizon Bound, participating in various crew activities, from navigation exercises to scientific experiments. His presence was an unusual but increasingly welcome addition, bringing a fresh perspective to the crew's routine tasks. Sarah watched as Zilron assisted in the engineering bay, where Chief Engineer Liu introduced him to the ship's propulsion systems. Zilron absorbed technical data with ease, his understanding facilitated by his species' advanced cognitive abilities. "Your technology is both primitive and ingenious," Zilron commented, his voice echoing slightly within the confines of the engineering deck. "You achieve much with physical mechanisms where we would use biotechnology." Leo smiled, taking the observation in stride. "There's beauty in simplicity, Zilron. Sometimes the old ways are the best ways, at least for us." Zilron's interest was not limited to technology. He spent time in the hydroponics garden with botanist Marie Dupont, learning about earth plants and their role in human food supply and psychological well-being aboard the ship. "The connection to your homeworld is maintained through these plants," Zilron noted, touching a leaf gently, his fingertip glowing softly upon contact. "Yes, they remind us of Earth," Marie agreed. "They help keep us grounded, remind us where we come from." As Zilron's understanding of human life deepened, so did the crew's curiosity about him and his culture. Informal gatherings became a ground for exchange where Zilron shared stories of the Silithus, tales of star-spanning consciousness and communal knowledge pools. His stories were met with awe and a bit of skepticism, but always with respect. In return, Zilron was invited to a simulated version of a traditional Earth sport, soccer. The crew members explained the rules as they walked onto the holographic field. Zilron, adapting his form for mobility, participated with enthusiasm, running and kicking the holographic ball with surprising skill. "Your games involve both physical prowess and strategy, much like our decision-making processes," Zilron observed as they took a break. "But you use it for enjoyment." "It's about fun, yes, but also about building team spirit and sometimes just letting off steam," replied Sarah, handing him a towel. As the match resumed, laughter and cheers filled the air, a sound of camaraderie that transcended species. Zilron's integration into the crew was becoming seamless, his initial oddity fading into a unique place within the ship's community. However, not everything was simple. In a quiet moment in her quarters, Sarah reviewed reports from the crew. While most were positive, a few expressed concerns about privacy and the implications of sharing too much with an alien species. She knew that these concerns needed to be addressed, not just for the crew's sake, but for the delicate balance of their mission. Planning a meeting with her senior officers, Sarah was determined to ensure that this cultural exchange did not compromise their mission or the security of Earth. The balance between openness and caution was delicate, and as she prepared for the discussion, she considered Zilron's motives and her responsibilities as a commander. With every interaction, the bridge between human and Silithus was being built, but Sarah knew that it had to be strong, respectful, and mutually beneficial. The challenge was significant, but the potential for a meaningful and lasting relationship between their species was a prize worth striving for. In the conference room aboard the Horizon Bound, tension hovered subtly over the senior staff as Sarah initiated the meeting. Her gaze swept over her officers, each representing different departments, each with their own experiences and concerns regarding Zilron's integration into their daily operations. I appreciate everyone's efforts in welcoming Zilron and facilitating this unprecedented exchange, Sarah began. However, it's crucial we address any concerns and evaluate our boundaries to ensure our mission remains uncompromised. Chief Security Officer Commander Tyrell was the first to voice his concerns. While I acknowledge the benefits of Zilron's insights, we need to maintain operational security. His access should be limited to non-sensitive areas without explicit approval. Sarah nodded in agreement. That's a valid point. We'll implement access levels and continue monitoring all exchanges for security purposes. Dr. Helen Choi, the biologist, added her perspective. Zilron's curiosity about human biology is profound, but we must ensure that our ethical standards are not breached. His interest in our physical and emotional states must be carefully managed. Agreed, Sarah responded. We need to set clear guidelines for what is appropriate to share and study. The discussion then shifted as Engineer Liu brought up another angle. Zilron's insights into our technology have been invaluable. Perhaps we could consider a controlled sharing of information. There's much we could learn from his biotechnological expertise. Sarah considered this, her mind weighing the potential risks against the benefits. We'll draft a proposal for a technology exchange program. It will be tightly regulated, focusing on non-critical systems initially. As the meeting progressed, the crew began to see a structured path forward, one that balanced openness with prudence. Sarah felt a sense of relief as actionable plans were put into place, ensuring that the exchange could continue without jeopardizing their mission or security. After the meeting, Sarah visited the observation deck, where Zilron often spent time gazing at the stars. She found him there, his form reflecting the cosmos's luminescent blues and purples, a serene expression on his face. Zilron, we've had some discussions among the senior staff about how to proceed with our exchange, Sarah said, joining him by the large viewing window. I understand the need for caution, Zilron replied, turning to face her. Your responsibilities are great, and I wish only to be a source of enrichment, not concern. Sarah was impressed by his empathy and understanding. We're setting up a framework for information and technology exchange. We believe there's much we can learn from each other, but we need to ensure it's done in a way that protects both our crew and your knowledge. I am pleased to hear that, Zilron said, his voice conveying sincerity. I am here to learn and share, Sarah. Your well-being and that of your crew are paramount to me. Their conversation moved to the stars outside, discussing constellations both familiar and alien to each other. It was a reminder of the vastness of the universe and the myriad possibilities it held. As Sarah returned to her quarters later, she felt more confident in the path they were forging with Zilron. The framework they were putting in place would allow them to explore those possibilities safely, respecting both the known and the unknown. With careful management and mutual respect, the relationship between humans and Silithus could become a beacon of interspecies cooperation. The weeks following the implementation of the new protocols marked a period of intense but fruitful cooperation between the crew of the Horizon Bound and Zilron. The frameworks established for interaction and information exchange led to a deepening of trust, and the sharing of knowledge became more fluid and expansive. In the ship's laboratory, Zilron and Dr. Helen Choi collaborated closely on a project that exemplified this new phase of cooperation. They were examining human immune responses compared to Scifi's bioregenerative techniques, a project that promised to yield insights beneficial to both species. "Your approach to medicine is fascinating," Helen remarked as they analyzed the data together. "The way your species uses bioregeneration could revolutionize how we treat degenerative diseases." Zilron's eyes gleamed with a soft light. "And I am equally amazed at your species' resilience and adaptability. There is much to be learned from the robustness of your biological defenses." Their collaborative efforts were just one of many such initiatives happening throughout the Horizon Bound. In engineering, Zilron's suggestions had led to enhancements in the ship's energy efficiency, incorporating organic elements into the circuitry that reduced wear and improved performance. Meanwhile, cultural exchanges also flourished. Zilron participated in educational sessions where crew members learned about Scifi's history and society, while he learned about Earth's diverse cultures and histories. These sessions were not only informative, but also built a shared sense of community and understanding among the crew. One evening, as the ship passed through a particularly beautiful nebula, a celebration was held in the main hall. The event was marked by displays of both human and Scifi's art forms. Zilron presented a piece of Scifi's art that consisted of light patterns combined with subtle vibrations, a sensory experience that was profoundly moving and gave the human crew an insight into Scifi's aesthetics and emotional expressions. Sarah, observing the interactions and exchanges, felt a profound sense of accomplishment. The project that had started with uncertainty was now a symbol of potential peace and unity between two very different cultures. She caught Zilron's eye across the room and nodded in appreciation. Her respect for him deepened by their shared experiences. As the celebration wound down, Sarah and Zilron stepped aside for a quiet conversation. "You have brought us a long way, Zilron," Sarah said sincerely. "Your openness and willingness to engage with us have changed many perspectives here. And I have gained much from you and your crew, Sarah," Zilron replied, his voice filled with warmth. "This exchange has enriched us all, I believe." They discussed the future, contemplating further explorations and collaborations. The possibilities seemed as vast as the universe itself, with talks of joint missions and further exchanges on the horizon. As Zilron returned to his ship, which remained docked with the Horizon Bound, the crews bid each other farewell with promises of swift reunions and ongoing communications. The partnership had grown beyond mere scientific and cultural exchanges. It was a bridge between worlds, a testament to the power of curiosity and respect. Sarah watched as the Scifi's ship disengaged and drifted back into the starlit expanse of space. The nebula outside cast colorful glows across her face, reflecting the new light of understanding that had been kindled among her crew. As she turned back to her duties, Sarah knew that the journey ahead would be filled with more challenges, but also with incredible opportunities. The Horizon Bound continued on its path, forever altered by the encounter, its trajectory now intertwined with the promise of new horizons and newfound alliances in the cosmos.